Right, let's go.
Go pedals.
Hang on, I'm going to do my serious face. Go. Right, started now, I'm very serious.
Okay, we're serious.
So, here we are, two incredibly knowledgeable adult men talking about guitar pedals. Much in the way that ladies would talk about high-heeled shoes or handbags.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Right, should I do my first one or do you want to do your first one?
You can do your first question if you like. I've got some questions for you. Perhaps, hang on a minute, we should set some ground rules because I think in our basic approach we are completely different. I get my tone from a cranked Marshall, so it's always gainy, it's always feeding back. I have to damp all the time. If I want clean, I back off, whereas I've got a feeling you're the opposite.
So do you do like Hendrix? You roll your volume off?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I remember like the Groundhogs, Tony McPhee sort of technique. He used to do that, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. But the problem with getting used to doing that is it sounds so lovely with the guitar on sort of 3, and it sounds so lovely with the guitar on 10, that whenever I try and go the other way and get a clean amp and get my distortion from pedals, I can't get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, for recording, I'd rather have an amp turned up loud, but for live, I run the amp. I mean, it's just a lot of it as well, because when we're doing a lot of the gigs we've done, we turn up and there's just an amp, and you have to use whatever's there. So you're better off driving it through the pedals anyway. So, and it's more and more the case that we turn up at shows and we're just borrowing rent the back line. So I wouldn't trust them to, to use the distortion sounds on them. And the other thing is I don't like delays going into the amp. I like the delay post, to go in before
on the loop.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really got on with delays running into amps and stuff. So
see, we're diametrically opposed. I can't stand a delay in the loop. I like it in the front of the amp, so it gets really messy.
Neil Young style.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I got bitten in the arse by insisting to use my own amp at that HRH gig we did at Shepherd's Bush, because I kicked up a real stink. I want to use my head.
Yeah.
Eventually, they let me use my head with their cabinet.
Yeah.
Plugged my head in. Strum. Oh no, that sounds awful. It must be their dreadful Marshall cabinet. Really annoyed that I'd not used my own cabinet. Played the gig. Didn't like my guitar sound the whole way through. We went to Sheffield the next night. Same thing happened. They made me use a Marshall cab with my head, plugged it in. Sounded awful. I was so angry. Inside I was seething. Why didn't I bring my own cab? Why didn't I? Halfway through the Sheffield gig there was this almighty bang, and then my amplifier started to sound like it should. One of the valves had gone microphonic the day before, and it had fixed itself halfway through the Sheffield gig. So I'd played the whole of the Shepherd's Bush gig on half an amplifier, thinking it was their cab. No, my amp.
You see, I've got a bit of a problem with. I've got a bit of a worry about valves as well. I mean, I've got a couple of valves. I've got a Marshall hot rod, a Fender hot rod out there that I've not moved for about 3 years. I've got we've got a Red Bear, which is like a Russian JCM 800 copy, which is a really cool amp. And I tend to use valve amps for recording, but live we've got these orange transistor amps we use.
CR120.
And they're great. They're just so consistent, and they're close enough for live.
Oh, without doubt. I use a CR120 as a backup for my Plexi. It's the only amp that I've got close to the Plexi with.
They work, and for live, that'll do us. And I'm running. I mean, all I want from that amp is it to be virtually 95% clean, and maybe a tiny bit of crunch. But most of the, we use hyper clean sounds with lots of delays on.
Yeah. And
then I'll spend the rest of the time trying to make it sound less clean, if you know what I mean. I want it to be. I want to be able to process it through the pedals. So yeah, it's all about the smeary sort of. I use a lot of modulated delays and stuff to try and mess it up a bit, really. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I mean,
so you've got the advantage of being able to play, though. You see, I have to hide behind the pedal, whereas you.
Sadly not. No, we're all blagging it, and everybody, apart from this one. Most guitar players in rock bands are blagging it, aren't they? We're all to an extent. Yeah,
without a doubt. Yeah.
But with the way I play is, I know there's about 3 or 4 things I can do that look quite impressive, and I kind of rely on that. Whereas, I mean, we did a gig with the Aristocrats, and we played with Guthrie Govan, who play everything, right? And when you see something like that, it's like you think, well, I'm not even in the game here, you know. Right. But I can do, you know, something I've stolen from John McLaughlin from the Mad Vision, something I've stolen from Robert Fripp, something I've stolen from Tony McPhee, something I've stolen from Bob Mole from Husker Du, and something I've sold from, you know, some thrash metal band like Slayer or something. And I can mix it all up, and it will make it sound more impressive than it actually is.
Well, my excuse is I do the best damn Steve Pond there is.
Well, I think that's what you can do ultimately, because I think we all know when we hear our own playing that I only hear what's wrong.
Same here, without doubt.
But other people hear it and they think it sounds really good. But all I hear is but I don't know. I don't know what people think of what I play. But ultimately, I think people don't realise that you're relying on the things you can do rather than things you can't do. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's lots of things I'd love to be able to do. I'd love to be able to be really good at finger picking, and you know, I'd love to be able to play classical guitar better than I can. I'd love to be able to play. There's loads of things I'd love to be able to do, but ultimately, you can only play like yourself, can't you? So, what should we ever talk about? Should we have a look at these pedals?
Come on, then. Let's do pedal talk.
Do you want to do your first one?
All right, pedal chat with Steve and Matt. Question 1. What's the cheapest pedal that you would use at a gig?
Cheapest pedal? Probably a Behringer.
Oh no!
I'd use. There's a Behringer. I've got one down here actually. It's Behringer. I can find it. Yeah,
it's finally appearing on the pedal cam.
Behringer Super Fuzz.
Look at that. He's not lying, folks.
Which is I think they're 30 quid, and they're made they come out of a cornflake packet. But there's a sound on them that's quite unusual and quite I don't know, abrasive. Okay. Electric Wizard. They're based on a Boss FZ something, but it's got that. There's like a doom metal Electric Wizard sort of sound. With it's an octave fuzz boost. It's the dirtiest pedal I've ever heard. I mean, I've got lots of fuzzies and stuff, but that's the really dirty pedal. So that's probably the cheapest one.
And you would rely on that pedal?
If I was going to use it live, I would put it in a loop and then loop it in. Because Behringer pedals, whilst it sounds fine, it's just a clone of a Boss pedal in a rubbish box, but I would put it in a loop. I mean, you got 9 times out of 10. I mean, when we did the Stabbing a Dead Horse tour with Knife World, we did 7 dates, and I had a Behringer harmonizer for that, and it survived. You know what I mean? It made it through 7 gigs in a row.
I think with Behringer gear, it either works or it doesn't. If you get past the first month, it will last forever. But
it survived 7 nights of gigging, and nothing was treated well on that tour, and we were a bit younger, we were drinking a bit more, but I don't know. Can I ask you, what you got? Oh,
cheapest pedal.
Which one's that one?
That's a Vane Tap, English company called Vane Tap. It's got my digital preset on it, the pen. All that is a volume control in a box. It's completely passive. It's got a light, but you don't need the light. You stamp on that, it's exactly the same as rolling your guitar back.
Oh, cool. So that's perfect for your setup, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I got it, because it's reliable exactly there every single time. Whereas rolling the guitar back, it's nearly there. While I'm trying to sing, about half a bit back, half a bit. So that takes all that out of the.
That's a really good idea for your rig, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I've got 2 of them. I love them because I can have 2 different.
You could do that with an EQ as well, couldn't you?
Well,
you can have like a what we're doing. I've got a little EQ on the floor. You could roll a little EQ like that. You do that and then use that to do the same sort of thing, couldn't you?
Yeah, I went the other way. I bought one of them.
Oh, they're nice. That's my friend Daniel makes those.
He does. He does a very good job. Well, this bit here, is a up and down pre-gain. So if you have a patch on mine, the clean patch is actually this one, and I have the pre-gain right down. So when
do you run that live?
Yeah, I couldn't do a gig without that.
No, you see, this is where I am at the minute, right? I would love a setup with like that, and I'd love to go and stand and get one and sort it all out and that. But the problem I've got with them is that I don't think you'd be able to fly with it. I think it's too big to fly.
Oh yeah, my pedal board is stupidly big because of that.
I mean, I've got a big pedal board, but everything I have now, I have to think: can we fly with this? Can we do? Because out of the gigs we've got, the next, well, who knows what gigs we've got.
Who knows if Europe will still be there?
Yes, Europe will still be there if we're not allowed back in. But a lot of them, I have to think: can we fly with this? Is this flyable? That's always my thing. Is this flyable? And I don't. I
think in that situation, you've got to go all in one, haven't you? You've got to get.
Well, this is it. I mean, when I did the States, we had the one fuzz, the H9, the DL4, and that was too much. I mean, what I'd like to do is just have, if I can go to the next gigs like that with just those two, and use the tuner on the H9, I'll be well happy with that. Or have a Helix or something like that I could just fly with.
Yeah.
But I would love a rig like that. I would love the switching and all that.
It's beautiful. The joy of that is you don't need a brain. You literally you push. I want this button to be that loop, and that loop, and now you're done. That's it, programmed. You don't have to push save. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, so you can have a compressor, a delay, all come on at once.
Yeah. Well, you've got two modes. You see above each button, there's two lights. One's red, one's yellow. If it's red, it's a preset, so it's any number of loops of the 10. If it's yellow, it means it's a stomp. So you just turn the one effect on and off with the same button. But
so you can have like several loops and then one as a boost or something like that.
Yeah. So what I tend to do is load up a preset with 4 or 5 and then subtract. So I have the top line are all presets and the bottom line are stomp boxes. So then I can either just tap dance my way and put 5 on, and then number 7 is my standard sound. So it's everybody off with one push.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Or you can start with a preset with like 3 of them on, and then take one of them out, or any combination of anything. And because it's MIDI as well, although I'll have a delay on 3 of them, it's different delays from the same delay. So
which delay are you triggering there?
I think pedal cam, good.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, the Strymon. What's the Strymon like?
At first, I didn't like it. It replaced actual metal. It replaced those.
So you see, that's what I've been thinking about getting. I've got doing that and that.
Exactly.
So I've got an analog delay for rhythm, like just a on all the time type delay, and then a lead solo-y delay.
That's exactly what my two were. Exactly that. And I even had a third one, a little tiny Gaia tone for super long delays. And I looked at my pedal board one day and I just thought, this is just becoming delay farm. So I got the Strymon after I got the G2, because the G2, the Strymon can pretend to be the analog, it can pretend to be the digital. I can have it synced up. We use a lot of sequencers live, so I can pre-sync the delays to the sequencer because I know the tempo.
Brilliant, isn't it?
So
what's the analog delay sounds like? That's always the thing I find.
They're all right.
They're all right. Are they as good as the Boss one?
No.
You see, this is the thing, because I've got digital delay is normally pretty good on these things. Tape delay is normally good to get the wobble right, and that's as long as you get the wobble right. The Strymon, was it the Volante? No, not the Volante. What's the Strymon one with the wobble, with the tape delay? I can't remember what it's called. But the Strymon tape delay one looks really good. But the analog delay seems to be harder because it's the way it breaks up, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like...
They're very dark, aren't they, analog delays? They're very sort of...
hard sound to get right, isn't it?
Yeah, and they don't decay on a smooth path. That they sort of, this one breaks up, that one breaks up more, that one breaks up more, and then they're gone. But I mean, to be honest, I used to use this for one song, and this used to get knocked, and you know, even the pen mark that is on there isn't accurate enough, and it's just nice having.
Do you like analog delays with distortion?
Oh yeah, everything in front of the amp, everything.
Yeah, because I like analog delays, but I don't necessarily like analog delays with distort. I think analog delays sound really good without anything with them, but analog delays sound better to me with a completely clean chain, whereas digital delays sound a bit without having some sort of warmth or distort on there. You know what I mean? Some sort of.
I do know what you mean.
Yeah, there's a little bit. They're too polite, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't use delays the way you do, though. Mine are more just to obfuscate what I'm playing so people can't hear the bad technique. It's just to create a wall of noise.
It sounded fantastic when I saw you last. I mean, sounded like it's very, very spacey, sort of massive delays.
Yeah, yeah.
It sounded huge. Really,
thank God for that, because it was literally half an amplifier that day. But
I remember I texted you, didn't I, when you played? And I said, that sounds fantastic, mate. It's brilliant.
But,
and you were like, I don't think you're very happy with the sound, but I was like, no, it sounded great. And you went down so well. I was so pleased for you.
Have you seen the video that they've put out on?
I did see it, yeah, because I was watching the other day. Yeah, no, it was lovely, and it's so nice to see everybody. You know, you went down so well.
But they picked the worst song. It was just like. When we signed the release, we just thought, oh, they're going to make a video, let's sign the release.
Yeah.
Well, we should have signed the release with, we consent as long as we can mix it. Because if you watch the video we put up on YouTube recently of a whole gig, it sounds like Krankshaft, whereas that thing that they've put on Amazon Prime for more people to see sounds like three kids who've just bought an instrument. So
the thing is, though, that'll get people through the door. That'll get more people getting the name out there. You know what I mean? It must be a bit weird for you because in many ways, Crankshaft's kind of got two histories, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You got the sort of underground, legendary sort of space rock band, and then there's the sort of modern thing you guys are doing now, isn't there? So it's kind of there's a duality to it, isn't there?
It's a curse and a blessing. You know,
cool. I'd love to have a history like that.
Well, no, the curse. I mean, did you read the Light Show when it was talking about the prog tree?
Yeah.
Have I ever told you where that stems from? No. We sent our last two albums to Prog magazine, and the editor wrote back and said, we won't be reviewing them because you're a branch too far from the tree. And I think what he meant was, you're a Hawkwind spin-off, but you're not such a close Hawkwind spin-off that we're interested in you. Whereas we don't think we're a Hawkwind spin-off. We're nothing to do with Hawkwind. We drew the line 10 years ago and started again, but we kept the name because we didn't want to shrug off our audience.
No, of course not, no.
So we want to be
fantastic thing to have.
Treated on our own merits, and he's not prepared to do it. So now we just constantly refer to the prog tree that we're not allowed anywhere near because, you know, we don't fit.
The prog world, not the prog magazine world, the prog scene is it's a funny one because it's kind of got bands. You know, there's bands that sort of sound, and I'm not being disrespectful to any of these bands. I think that there's the level of talent, and there's so many nice people, and the musicianship's unbelievable. But it goes from people who basically sound like sort of folk bands, and there's sort of a big train, a brilliant Genesis-y sort of band, and then there's you got a lot of bands that's this sort of super tight, noise-gated metal thing with 7-string guitars, and then there's the sort of spacey stuff. And then, like the sort of space rock stuff like you guys do. And but also with, I think, what you did, there's an element of sort of a punky sort of thing there as well, isn't there?
Definitely.
So it's that sort of punk, space rock crossover thing, which I'm a big, when I was a kid, I was into Osrics and things like that. So we used to go to all those sort of space rocky sort of gigs in Bedford when I was 16, 17. And, there'd be... it's quite cool actually because you get punky stuff, then you get someone like Osrics, and then you might get like a dub DJ as well. So it's a really open-minded, exciting time for music, and I thought it was really cool. Sort of early '90s when it was all that sort of rave punk, space rock crossover thing. I loved all that, and but there's so much variety in it, and there's all the post-rock guys. I mean, I don't really know, the sort of bands we like. I mean, we don't really fit in anywhere, but. The space, the sort of the proggy thing is it's sort of it's a gift and a curse really, because the scene is so cool and the people are so nice. But also some people go, we get two things, like, you're not a prog band, we don't like you because you're not a prog band. It's like, and the other thing is, we're not going to listen to you because you don't like prog rock. And it's like, well, you can't win, you know what I mean?
Did you see that thread the other week where the guy asked if people should be allowed to dance at prog rock gigs?
Yes.
Crazy.
Yes, please dance.
Yeah.
I mean, but like I say, when I got into that, we used to go and see Osrix and stuff. There was all hippies dancing. It was lovely.
Yeah. But then I guess it begs the question: is modern prog? And I would say no. I mean, compared to Gentle Giant or, you know, a proper prog band, most modern prog bands in commas are AOR bands. They're very nice. They've got string machines. They've got nice melodies, but there's nothing progressive.
It's I mean, you know, what I think Tom York said about, you know, guitar music. I mean, we're like trad jazz. You know, I mean, there's no so much, you know, the real cutting edge of what's going on musically. There's, you know, kids with laptops, isn't it, who are probably doing, you know, amazing work. And, you know, when I hear modern hip hop records and I hear the production and the amount of imagination in the arrangements, I'm like, yeah, fair enough. You know what I mean? That's
exactly, yeah.
Oh, if I was 17 now, would I pick up a guitar? Would I pick up a laptop? Probably a laptop, because, you know, that's where things are going on. And like I say, the complexity of arrangement, you know, in modern hip hop is unbelievable. It's just so. But in terms of rock, we can do the best in the context of what we've got. I mean, I don't know what is progressive anymore. I mean, I just make records I like.
Exactly. That's all. We just do it for fun.
I've kind of given up on trying to do anything new. If I can do something new in the meantime, that's great. But I'd like to try and move people and make people cry, make people laugh, and make people dance. You know, that's kind of my goal, really.
Yeah.
But
be entertaining. I mean, that's all you can do, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and one of the problems you've got in the progressive scene, there's a lot of gatekeepers who are like, you know, this isn't real prog, or this isn't. But I don't know. I mean, I'm past caring, to be honest. I just like making records, and you know, like, we're a bit like you guys. You've got your little cult audience. You live in your own little bubble doing stuff, and that's kind of how we are. That's kind of how you guys are. And I think there's a lot of bands like that where they've got a small audience and they can sort of keep going and keep making records because people are into it.
I think the cool thing about both of our bands is that when we're exposed to a different audience, we always, some of them stay.
Yeah.
You know, we're not so insular that only our core audience will like it. We're actually,
I hope not.
We're actually very open, you know, and we're not what people think we are.
But I think, you know,
I mean, somebody said after that HOH gig that he was going to go out and eat when he saw us on the bill, because the name Krankshaft, it sounds like some dreadful German metal band are going to come on and just be incredibly dull for an hour. So he'd penciled us for, you know, food time, but luckily the light show caught his interest because it started talking to him straight away. And he said I had to stay for, you know, and he loved it, so thank Christ. But
it must have took you ages to get that light show with the sequences and stuff.
It's not, it's all random.
Really?
Yeah, it's complete. I throw it in the air and hope it lands in the right place, which it didn't on
It worked incredibly well.
Yeah, but on our most popular song, Moon, the one that, you know, people like to sway and hold the lighter up to, there were videos of people crashing on segways. I'd got that completely in the wrong place, but
yeah, I thought it worked really well. It was really cool. But the audience loved you, didn't they? I mean, that was the best reaction. I mean, you know, of all the bands, I didn't see that many bands that day, but you seemed to get a really great reaction, didn't you?
Thank you. Yeah. Well, we've played HOH 5 times now, so
right.
I think they've given in. You know,
it's a good do. It's a good do. Yeah, it's nice to get in front of that sort of size audience, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
It's good for you. I mean, as musicians, I think, you know, you always want to play. I love playing in front of big crowds. You know, I mean, it's
easier than a small crowd.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the things people don't realise, that if you've got the light show and, you know, you're in a decent venue and you've got good sound and you've got a crew, and it's a different world. It's massively easier than playing to 50 people in a pub, isn't it?
Yeah, getting your gear on and off quickly in front of people you know. And, come on, ask me a pedal question.
Okay,
we're far off track.
What's your favourite modulation pedal?
I'm just going to get the crane. Lumber it into view. Would you like to place bets on what this might be?
Go on.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present for your delectation.
Oh,
Come on.
like a phaser.
Like a phaser? The man who would punch you. He would punch you if you said like a phaser.
So where's that come from?
I'll show you what it is if I can find the relevant piece of paper. Hold on a minute.
That looks terrifying.
It's a clone of... Oh, there it is. It's on the floor. It's a clone of that.
Oh, yeah, the jet one, yeah.
The jet phaser. I had one of those. I had a proper jet phaser. And this little switch here, the 4 orange ones are phasers. The 2 with the white are phasers. No, the other way around. Phasers with fuzz. It's the other way around.
Cool.
And the switch broke. And I took it to a guy who repairs synths. And I said, can you change this switch for me, please? Yeah, no problem, mate. So he changed the switch, and I went back and plugged it in. Yeah, you've changed the switch, but where's the great sound gone? What do you mean? I've only changed the switch. Yeah, but this used to sound like 1,000 angry banshees really out of control, and now it sounds like a phaser and a fuzzbox. Oh, yeah, that's what it is, a phaser and a fuzzbox. No. And then we had this huge... I actually had to go and get a recording. Luckily, I'd got a recording of it in all of its wild glory. And I said, this is what it sounds like. And he listened to it and he's like, yeah, it doesn't sound like that anymore, does it? So we went down this tunnel of trying to unfix it. So first of all, he put the bad switch back in. That didn't fix it. Then he decided one of the transistors must be faulty. So all the transistors came out, different ones went in. We changed every component in the damn thing. Never got the bad sound back. In the end, he fixed it properly and I sold it for the stupid amount of money that they're worth now. And with the stupid amount of money, I bought the clone. And it turns out that the clone is better because it's got the mad sound of the original one. But on the original one, all you've got is on and off and fast or slow.
So it's got the more control over it.
So, whereas this one is on and off, shallow or deep, so a big wobble or a little wobble, slow or fast, and it slows down and it speeds up like a proper slow down, you know, rather than... But that's this, so cool. The fuzz clean button, the only one without a light, when you push it, Armageddon happens. So it needs a light in the worst possible way because when you have it on a looper, if you've got it out of the loop, you don't know whether it's Armageddon mode or not to bring it back in. Having said all that, if I were to do a gig with just 2 pedals, it would be this and a delay. Because if you take the fuzz out, it's a beautiful phaser and you can have a lot of phase or a little phase, and a lot of phase sounds like a univibe. So you've got 2 pedals there. You push this, it's Armageddon, solo till you're blue in the face. That's 3 pedals. Put a delay on the end, you're done.
How many stages is the phaser in there?
Not many. I think it's 5.
Oh, cool.
But that's the pedal I wanted to play for you. But the wonders of Zoom audio.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you what it sounds like, and it's identical. Summer Breeze, the Isley Brothers. That.
Oh, I love that sound. Yeah.
That is the sound. It does that.
I love that sound.
Yeah, well, you want one of these. They only made 50. This is number 47.
Yeah, you're not going to get one, am I? How much are they?
Unobtainium.
Are they about 500 quid nowadays?
New. I think I paid $430 for it, brand new. But get one now, forget it. You know. But
I'm not going to get one of them.
But why? Now, here's the question. Why is it not on your pedal board, Steve? Well, I'll tell you, Steve. Because the fucking thing is, look how thick it is.
Yeah.
I can't shut the lid on my pedal board.
I've got the same problem with this. That's the univibes like that as well. I can't.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm tempted to build a pedal board just around the Morphine Dream because then I'd be that weirdo who's got a pedal board just around the Morphine Dream. But
yeah, no, I've got a similar problem.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question.
Go on.
What's your longest serving pedal?
Yeah, that one.
Hey, look at that. Hang on. I've got his younger looking brother here for pedal cam. There we are.
A beautiful one. So this is, I got this in 2001 or 2, and it's been around. I mean, I used to do loads of loop pedal gigs, just me and a guitar.
Yeah.
I think I did about, one point I was doing sort of 60, 70 a year of those, all over the country and different places and Ireland and stuff. And I used to do like this set where I used to just do loop pedal stuff, just me and a guitar, and that was from 2006 till about 2016. So I did 10 years of gigs with that, and I love that pedal. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it. But I have to say that I kind of hate it as well because there's certain sounds on it, and I'm stuck with basically. So it's got a long delay, short delay, and a like a doubler delay on it. I use on everything. I use the loops on it for the end of the set. We do and all those analog noises. I'd use it to build up loops in one song, and I'm stuck with the bloody thing. It's massive, and to be honest, compared to like the modern delay modelers, it's not great. It doesn't sound amazing. It has got a certain sound to it that I quite like.
There's a lot to be said though for a pedal that you know inside out over one that you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I can get any delay sound I want, but if you compare the analog delay model on that to the memory toy, this is nowhere near as good. Right. But this is just so versatile that I can't justify having 2 delays on my board. You know what I mean? It just does everything. Like I say, that's been to America, that's been to the Netherlands, it's been all sorts of adventures we've had. I've had one nicked. I used to have 2. I had one nicked once at a gig. It's the pedal I've got stuck with, and I don't know. I'm kind of, you get stuck with gear, and because it's your sound.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't necessarily work particularly well.
Mine's not as exciting as yours. Here, where's my sound?
Yeah, what pedal is your sound, Steve?
Yeah, that's a good question, Matt. And I don't think I cut him out. It's the big brother of that. It's the GE7 version of that is my sound.
So do you use that to sculpt your amp sound?
Yeah, and that's it. It's set on it at the minute. It's just a tiny little lift at the low end.
But that gives it that magic thing on your valve amp.
Yeah. Without that, it's... Well, to be brutally honest, this is my sound in total. There you are.
Everything with those.
That's all you need.
That's the root of it. Do you so you use the drive to slightly drive the amp?
No. Puts the Lotley drive the amp.
Lotley.
Yeah. The guitar is totally out of control when that's on. I have to mute or turn it off or play. They're my only options.
Have you ever used a noise gate?
God forbid, man. Never. Reduce the noise.
I like a noise gate with a really, really overdriven fuzz. I like noise gate with that. Apart from
use it as an effect so that you can stop.
As a jittery cut up sound.
Okay.
I've never used one as they're supposed to be used. No.
Yeah, I use a jittery cut up. I use. Where is he? See, this is the problem with this pedal. It's so tiny. I've printed this pedal double normal size so you can see it. Otherwise, you'd think there was just a piece of dirt on the pedal cam. There he is.
What's that?
It's the Joyo Molo Trem.
Cool.
It's a tremolo, but it's got a really good square wave. And in one of our songs, there's a bit where I play against the square wave. So this is why it's handy, because it's got the little door, so you can set the tempo and shut the little door, and no evil fingers will touch the tempo. So
that's not MIDI or anything?
No, it's just on one of the loops. That's the annoying thing about it. It takes one of the loops on the G2 for one effect in one song that lasts about 20 seconds, and that button is out of commission for the rest of the set.
So is your drummer playing to a click though? Yeah.
During that. No, he plays to the speed of that pedal at that point. But
so what happens if the monitors aren't very good at the venue? Is that a bit of a problem?
I play so loud, Matt. That has never been a problem.
Well, I suppose that's one way of fixing. Don't you get the engineers moaning about that?
Oddly, no. And we figured out what that is. Well, there's two ways. Number one, never, ever, ever point your 4x12 at the sound man, because they're really directional. Always offset it by about 20 degrees from the sound man, but at the back of your head. And number two is, don't have a horrible sound. If it's making a nice sound, they don't mind. I've never had a sound man tell me to turn down.
Interesting.
But even though it's ridiculously loud, it's a nice sound, and all they do is reinforce it with the PA, and we're there. Granted, he's got no control, but
well, this is because most of the sound people tend to want control, so you'd have to take your backline quite quiet. But that's another reason why I don't like using valve amps live, because they only sound really good when you take them loud anyway, don't they?
Yeah, but you have to play over the drummer.
Yeah.
And our drummer is really loud, so I balance myself to the drummer, as does the bass player. Our bass player uses an SVT and an 8x10, so he's loud as well. But if this was 1971, we'd have a vocal PA, we'd have exactly the backline we've got now, because it all existed then, and that was the sound of rock and roll. It's only recently that they've tried to turn it into this controlled thing.
I mean, I remember watching. You look at the back of some of the Groundhogs album covers, and there's them just their backline just in a back room of a pub, you know. So it's like, and I love all that. I love that. I mean,
well, that's why we like to book those. Do you, when you play a place like the Eagle in Manchester, do you hire it yourself?
Yeah,
that's what we do, and that's why we like to do that, because we know we're going to take the stupidly loud backline and we're going to use the PA as a vocal PA, maybe with some bass drum, but not a lot else, and provide an authentic early 70s rock and roll experience. We don't advertise it as that, but that's what you get, you know.
I remember seeing Dale Bromham from Stray when I was 14, so it must have been about 1988 or something.
Or just after we retired.
89, something like that. And I was, a real little kid, and I thought it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. And all it was a 3-piece band with 2 4x12s for the guitar and a big bass amp, and it was just unbelievable. And I was just this little kid, and I couldn't believe it. And they were brilliant as well. I mean, they were only sort of doing pub covers and stuff, Hendrix stuff, but they were absolutely, and it sounded incredible, just in the back room of this little pub.
Not the first ever gig I went to, but the first proper gig I went to was at the Marquee in London, and it was Motorhead before they'd got a record deal.
My God! Supported
by a band from Birmingham called, it's just gone out of my head. I was just going to say their name and it went anyway. Bandana they were called. I was 15. I was stood there listening to this Bandana, and my chest was thumping. It was quite loud, and I thought, oh, I love this. And then Motorhead came out, and Lemmy's first words were, "Good evening, innocent bystanders," and they launched into Motorhead by Motorhead, and it was like, holy cow! I thought that was loud.
Yeah.
It was an absolute life-changing moment. Me want that now, and
no, there's a magic to. I mean, with health and safety regulations as well, a lot of gigs you can't go that loud. I mean, there's all sorts of limits on sound now.
But that's the weird thing about a loud valve amp, because they naturally compress.
They're not as painful on the ears, are they?
Exactly. No, I mean, I bought a Helix. I had my operation when I had all my insides out, and they said you're not allowed to lift anything heavy. So I thought, well, I can't lift the 4x12 anymore. So I bought a Helix. The plan was replace everything with a Helix. But in rehearsal,
did it get close? Or?
In my studio, I could get identical to absolutely spot on. But as soon as we got in the rehearsal room at volume, there's this high mid piercing sound in there that we could not get rid of, and it gave us all a headache. We were all saying, "Are your ears hurting?" "Yeah, mine." "Yeah, me too." And in the end, we binned it off because it's not a nice fat sound like a real amp.
I know what you mean, and there's a magic to that saturation. I mean, like I say, there's a magic to that. I must admit. Whose turn is it to do a question?
You.
I'm lost now.
Well, we've completely ignored the question format, haven't we? I'll ask you one if you like. You have to throw all your pedals away except for one multi-pedal. Which multi-pedal are you keeping?
Well, I suppose I'll be stuck with the probably that one. That's because it's got all the.
No, I honestly thought that you were going to keep that one.
Well, you see, now the thing with the Zoom, I love the Zoom, right?
I do.
I think it's a fantastic pedal. I think it's not the poshest pedal in the world. The switching's a bit weird. Once you get your head around, I've got it connected up to the online. There's an online.
I use it. Yeah.
Yeah, clever, isn't it? They do, the online machine that connects you to the thing. That seems to, and that's really easy to do. Just plug the USB cable in, and off you go. And the thing with the Zoom as well. You can stack effects, whereas with the H9 you can do one thing at a time. And when it does one thing, this is amazing at it.
Right.
The sound quality on this is literally a rack in your pocket. It's an incredible bit of kit. And this I took to the States, and I programmed in 6 sounds, like I had a fuzz guitar and a pitch shifter, all those sounds. But this, you can stack different, so multiple instances of a pedal, and you can get lots of interesting lo-fi. If you want to write a song, and I've got 50 presets I've set up on this. They're all a bit wonky and a bit weird, and this is just fantastic for that. I mean,
it's got, that pedal has got ingredient X. Whatever amazing. Ingredient X is, that pedal's got it.
Have you seen the subreddit for it, where loads of nerds have put loads of different settings on it as well?
Yeah.
And there's loads of.
I'm one of those nerds. I'm on that subreddit.
No, yeah, I mean, me too. Don't get me wrong. I love all that stuff. They've worked out to clone loads of those really expensive boutique pedals. You know what I mean? Because a lot of those, some of the, like an analog, that phaser you showed me, that is an analog pedal. Right, you're never going to get there with DSP, but something like the Earthquake Devices Rainbow pedal, it's like 300 quid, and that's based on whether there's certain DSP chips, right, that people program with different sounds, and a lot of those boutiques DSP pedals are just people have programmed different sounds on some of that rainbow pedal. The Zoom pedal can do all those rainbow pedals.
Of course it can, yeah.
For like a third of the price, and 1,000 other things too.
And have you noticed how second hand a year ago they were 50 quid and now they're 100 quid?
Are they?
Yeah.
That's good. I've got 2 of them. I use them on synthesizers a lot because I've got a nice Dave Smith synthesizer, and I put it through that just to mess it all up. So I'll put it through, I'll slightly bit crush it. I'll use slight, like the Boards of Canada, Aphex Twin, all those sounds. That is perfect.
Yeah.
If you want to go down the Warp Records route and make everything wobble and sound like it's slightly better tune, I love all that.
Make everything wobble.
Oh, it's brilliant, and I love all that. When we were kids, we used to love Aphex Twin and Boards Canada and all that stuff. So,
you know what you were saying about fly gigs? Where is it? I wasn't going to. This wasn't going to be one of my pedals I picked up, so it's over there. Hang on. Will my piece of wire reach? Yes.
How robust is the Zoom for live? Do you think, Steve? That's the thing. Is it going to? It seems reasonably.
People complain that the black plastic left and right buttons break, don't they? But you don't use those live, so...
Yeah, and I mean, they seem pretty good to me, but...
This is what you want for your fly gig.
What's that? Whoa! How much are they, Steve?
140 quid on eBay. And this is the Zoom, the MSC plus amps and cabs.
Oh, great. And what's the amps and cabs sound like? All right.
They're fine. They're really good. I can get a Marshall that recorded, you'd never know wasn't a Marshall out of it. The Vox is fantastic. The clean Vox is excellent. It's built like an absolute tank.
That'd be great for flying.
I saw one go for 90 quid on eBay the other day, which is the same price as the Blue Zoom.
Oh,
it's got everything that's in the Blue Zoom. You can chain 9 blocks.
Wow.
So 7 of the modulations and an amp and a cab.
And they're the same sounds?
Exactly the same.
Oh wow! Well,
I copy the numbers off this screen into the Blue Zoom, and they're identical.
Oh wow!
And this, of course, it's got.
Was that a G5?
G5N.
I'll look out for it though.
It's got the pedal can be anything. The pedal can be the rate of the rotary. It can be volume wire. It can be anything.
I think with the Zoom, the way to look at it is it's not the most authentic sound. You're never going to get a perfect univibe out of it.
No.
But you'll get something interesting out of it that you wouldn't have got out of a univibe.
Exactly.
I think that the programming on it's so good and so weird and so esoteric.
I think they've been using those little effects blocks, the little 8-bit drawings that come up on the Zoom. Yeah. I think they probably programmed them 20 years ago, and they've not been updated much since. Maybe they upped the bit rate or something, but the actual parameters have stayed the same because they've just got something going there.
I think they're like a bit of a lo-fi classic, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I only bought that thing because when I was thinking of using just the Helix live, I thought, well, what happens when somebody pours a pint of beer in it? What do I do? And that's why I bought that on a whim, just to see what it was like. And I've sold the Helix. I kept that because it's so much fun.
The technology's moved. I mean, we message each other quite a bit, Steve, don't we? But the technology is moving so fast at the moment that you know, it's, I mean, it's the golden age, really, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, if you were a kid, I was thinking about this the other day. When I bought my first electric guitar, I brought it home and I plugged it into my Fidelity Hi-Fi, which had a tone control, and it sounded abysmal. So I went to, I honestly think I went to Woolworths. I'd like to think I didn't, but I think I did, and bought a guitar amplifier, and it was a 1x12 with volume, tone, and tremolo, no gain. So you plugged in, and there was this hideous, clean sound with no gain stage whatsoever. And I would put my Hawkwind records on my Black Sabbath, and I would think,
how do I sound like that?
How do I sound like that?
But I remember that in them days, it was hard to find just the information.
Yeah.
You know, I started playing the guitar, like I say, about 89, 88, 89. And just to find out what a distortion pedal did. I mean, I come from the middle of nowhere. I come from Rochester in Northamptonshire. And it wasn't like you could go and ask. There was no one you could ask.
No.
You had to figure it out for yourself. So you'd buy a magazine and you sort of go, I wonder how they get that. How do they get that sound on Iron Maiden records and Black Sabbath records? What's that sound?
Yeah.
What's that fuzzy sound? Why am I? I've got to do something with my hands. What have I got to do with my hands to get the fuzzy sound? And it was like, you know, you had to figure everything out for yourself. But one of the good things about that is that you develop your own sound.
Exactly.
Because you can't copy anyone else. You don't know how to do it. You can't, you know, 20 years later, 30 years later, you can now go onto a forum, download the sound for your Helix and get 99% there, you know what I mean? And it's, you know, to get those sounds is so, it was so hard, wasn't it? It was really hard to get a good guitar sound.
I remember my dad used to get a magazine called Everyday Electronics, and on the front cover one week it said Fuzzbox. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like it might, that might work. So I persuaded my dad to build it for me because, you know, I'm an idiot. And he did. And I plugged it into my little Woolworths amplifier and strummed. And there it was. Not, you know, great.
But it was close.
It was in the ballpark. And I turned the tremolo up full and it went, It was Spirit of the Age by Hawkwind. It could not have been any closer to the record than this. And suddenly the scales fell from my eyes. I thought,
that's been brilliant,
it's the little boxes. And since then, you know, the lifelong addiction.
No, same. Yeah, I've been, you know. I mean, I've managed to get my pedal boards and my pedal rig over the years has got bigger and smaller. And, you know, the 90s, it was just a wah, a fuzz and a delay. And then in the 2000s, I'd just like a little Zoom box and a DL4 and a fuzz. But in with one of the things we're doing the Fierce and the Dead stuff is that we haven't got a singer. So my job is to kind of cover that sound.
Yeah.
So I have to have all the little boxes to sort of cover our missing part.
It's the same with us. We're a trio, and I've got no talent, so every song has to have a different colour, and that's where the pedals are.
But I think that one of the things is, you know, and I always loved, you know, Radiohead were the band that got me into pedals and stuff, I think. And I remember seeing Dark Star in the 90s. I absolutely loved them. I used to like Levitation era Hawkwind as well. Love Levitation. That was a really big record for me when I was a kid. And you know, Hillage and Osrix as well. But you know, I think as well. You got to remember, 25 years ago, you didn't know how, you couldn't buy a lot of this gear, could you? No. It's hard to find stuff.
No. And it was so it was all expensive.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really hard to. You'd have to go down to London. You'd have to go and know what you were looking for, and you couldn't sort of say, well, what does a digital delay sound like? You know what a delay was. We didn't know which one was an analog delay and which one was a digital delay and what was a tape delay. You know what I mean? It's all, and you couldn't just boot up a plug-in and try it. Well,
sadly, Matt, I'm so old that when I bought my first delay, there were only tape delays. So I had a WEM Copycat, and
so cool,
and it was good, don't get me wrong, but I'm also a skinflint, and I've made my own tape loops for it because the little pack of 10 WEM Copycat tape loops was £3 or something, whereas I could...
How long did they last?
About a week. And
really?
Yeah, the high end went really quickly. So I just had a roll of ordinary 1/4" tape, and I would make my own loops. Unbeknownst to me, the WEM loops were very slick, so that they didn't sandpaper the heads down to nothing, and the ones that I made did sandpaper the heads down to nothing in no time at all. But then, luckily, Boss invented that, and when that came out, I thought that was a digital delay because it was, you know, no tape, and we didn't know, so I bought that, and it was so much better than the copycat, because the copycat only had 4 playback heads, 4 fixed speeds, or, you know, any 2 of 4. No long delays, no nothing. And this, you could do the feedback and get it to feedback on itself.
Get the Hawkwind sound.
The fun arrived with that pedal, you know.
I remember the first time. There's 2 times I can think of with oscillation with the Radiohead Karma Police, with that roar sound at the end of that, and the Hawkwind Levitation's got sounds all over it. And I think the first time I worked out how to do it was that one.
Yeah.
I remember getting this and like, oh, it's that sound.
That's what's annoying about the digital pedals, though, because they can do it, but they do it in a weird way, and they won't let you do it in real time normally.
They don't. It's not quite the same. It's what you need is an analog model or actual analog delay.
Well, sometimes when you're programming a digital pedal, you'll go from one sound to another, and it'll go between the two, and you think, why can't you do that?
Yeah, why can't you? Where's that? Yeah, I know. What do you use any pitch shifters?